with my drum in hand. I'll play you some tribal rhythms if you'll dance with me, my friend. We'll dance right in the moonlight, we'll dance right in the sand. Beneath these golden mountain tops, we'll dance right to the end. And we will hold our hand while we stroll. For you I give my heart, for you I give my soul. The miracle of you is the miracle of me. For you I give my everything.
Come on back to your Father's truth and return to the holy root. Come on back to the wisdom of home and realize that you're not alone. Shine your light like your mother said, for you were there when we were led. And there's a path for us all to see. Just grab that lamp that's at your feet. Etz Chaim Hi L'machazikim ba B'tomcheha me'usha. You can hear it, it's in the breeze. It's a story written in the leaves. Though those branches, they may wind and weave, it's a tree of life. Etz Chaim, Etz Chaim Hi L'machazikim ba B'tomcheha me'usha. Etz Chaim Hi L'machazikim ba B'tomcheha me'usha. So come on in and find a seat, light those lights that usher peace. You can feel it, it's in your bones. It's a growing song that calls you home. Etz Chaim Hi L'machazikim ba B'tomcheha me'usha. Etz Chaim Hi L'machazikim ba
Shalom, Boi Amalka, Boi Kala, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom. Achama Merosh, Ha'ilanot Nistalkat, Boi V'netzel Likrat Shabbat HaMalka. Hinehi yoredet hakdosha berucha ve'ima malachim tzva shalom u'menucha. Boi Amalka, Boi Kala, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom. Boi Amalka, Boi Kala, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaShalom. Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Malachei Hinehi yoredet hakdosha berucha ve'ima malachim tzva shalom u'menucha.
Hi, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. For safety and courtesy, please just take a moment and pull out that cell phone and put it on silence. And if there is seating limited in the sanctuary, please make room for others in your rows as needed. Before the service begins, I'd like to direct your attention to the emergency exits and other safety features that we have at Temple Beth Israel. Look for the red or the green lights over the exits, over the doors that we have here toward the bima and in the back. And then also at the end of the social hall, there are exits. So if you would just take a moment and again make yourself aware of your presence and note what exit is closest to you. Also, inside the sanctuary, there is a fire extinguisher and an AED near the water fountain in the hall. There's another fire extinguisher inside the doors of the sanctuary where you entered. So there's also, for our safety, there's a placard, an evacuation plan that's in the back, or in the back of the seats in front of you. So please take a look at those. And I think that is my protocol for safety and security. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. It's wonderful to be with you and to celebrate on the Shabbat. We're going to start on page 24 with Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hatsharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bochem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Alechem, Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Join me. Shalom Alechem, Shalom Alechem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Alechem, Shalom Alechem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We turn to page 2 and 3 in our Siddur as we bless our Shabbat lights. This Shabbat we celebrate with Noah Haman and his family as he becomes bar mitzvah. So I'd like to invite some members of his family up to help us to bless our Shabbat lights. Probably. No, they'll stand here. Moms and grandmothers. Read here.
Okay. No one will hear us. All right. Let's do this one. As wait, did we read it? Did we read it? Wait, which one do you want us to get? This one or this one?
No, this or this, whichever.
Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
You may be seated. I'm going to continue on pages 20 and 21 with Lachado D. As is our custom, we pause before Lachado D for a review of the week, an opportunity to reflect on the week that has passed, to pause on each day, on its blessings and on its challenges, and to breathe for a moment. And after we have a little time, we'll come back together for Lachado D. We'll sing together verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. When we get to verse 9, I'll ask you to rise and face the doors from which you entered, or if you're at home, to turn and face the door to your home, to welcome the Shabbat presence and the Neshama Yetera, the extra soulfulness that travels with us during Shabbat, into our space and into our hearts.
La 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 Lachado D. La 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 Likrat Kala. Ya la 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 Penei Shaban. Penei Shaban Nikabel. La 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 Lachado D. La 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 Likrat Kala. Ya la 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 Penei Shaban. Penei Shaban Nikabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad. Ishme'anu el hamyuchan. Adonai echad u'shmo echad. L'shem ultiferet v'litchila. Ya la 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 Lachado D. La 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 Likrat Kala. Ya la 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 Penei Shaban. Penei Shaban Nikabela. Likrat Shaban Lechu v'nelcha. Ki mekor habracha. Merosh mikedem nesucha. So ma'aseh b'machshava techila. Ya la 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 Lachado D. La 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 Likrat Kala. Ya la 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 Penei Shaban. Penei Shaban Nikabela. Hitoreri Kiva orech Kumiori Uri Shidaberi Kevod Adonai Alayech Nigla. Ya la la Lachado D. Ya la la Likrat Kala. Ya la la Penei Shaban. Penei Shaban Nikabela.
Please rise if you're able.
ראוי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה יאי לי לי יאללה לה 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 לך דודי יאללה לה 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 לקראת כלה יאללה לה 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 פני שבת יקבלה.
Remain standing. We continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 26, and I'll invite Noah Heyman to lead us.
Yikadal Vikada Shemei Rabba Be'alma Divrach Hirte Ve'amlich Malchute V'chayachon Uv'yom Echon Uv'hayedekol Be'Israel Bagala Uvizman Kariv Vimeru Amen Yeshme Rabba Mevarach Leolam Uomei Omaya Yitbarach Vishtabah Ba'ar Vitromam Vinaseh Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shemei de Kudasha Barichu, Le'ela Minko Birhata, Veshirata, Tushbechata, Venechemata, Da'amir Ram Be'alma, Vemeru, Amen. Sorry.
We continue with Baruchu, our call to prayer, on page 28.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach leolam va'ed. Praise Adonai to whom praise is due forever. Praised be Adonai to whom praise is due, now and forever.
Lai la 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 lai la 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 lai la 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 Baruchu et Adonai Hamevorach Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Va'ed Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Last three lines in the Hebrew, page 30.
El Chai V'Kayam Tamidim L'Chaleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
Amariv Haravi.
Amen. Page 34 and 35, Shema Yisrael. Just going to read and project your voice a little better. Shema Yisrael.
Baruch
Shema Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
You may be seated. We continue on page 36 with Ve'ahavta.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם לשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Take your book and go back to your seat up here. We turn to Micha Mocha, our song of freedom. Before we sing Micha Mocha, I'd like to just share something with you. We are also coming up on Juneteenth in our calendar, which is the day that slavery, June 19th, was actually abolished in 1865 in Galveston, Texas. And Monday is the Juneteenth observed. It's a national holiday now in the United States. So just wanted to share something with you. Although this is written by African American Jew. Although the Emancipation Proclamation declared slaves legally free on January 1st, 1863, the law wasn't enforced in the Confederate state of Texas until more than 2 years later on June 19th, 1865. On that day, 2 months after Robert E. Lee's surrender, Union Major General Gordon Granger and his troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, to read the proclamation aloud and to firmly enforce the law. This day would later be coined Juneteenth. As the holiday's official website explains, Black Americans have since celebrated this holiday by hosting cookouts, wearing special clothes, holding special prayer services. And while Juneteenth has mainly been celebrated locally and its popularity has waxed and waned throughout the last century and a half, in recent years it saw a recent resurgence. And some of you may watch Blackish or were watchers of Blackish on TV. They had an episode in 2017 that was titled Juneteenth. In 2020, 2 weeks after the murder of George Floyd, Twitter, Nike, Square all officially declared Juneteenth to be a corporate holiday. And then 1 year later, the U.S. Senate unanimously established it as a federal holiday. Now I'm reading in the voice of the person who wrote the article. As a Black Jew, I see Juneteenth as a beautiful reminder not to be complacent. While this holiday is a joyous one that affirms the Jewish notion that we are all created b'Tselem Elohim and deserve to be free from bondage, it is equally important to remember that the fight for true equality is ongoing. I'm reminded of the oft-quoted guidance of Rabbi Tarfon, Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor, you are not required to finish the task, but neither are you free to desist from it. And so, as we sing Mi Chamocha today, our song of freedom, to keep in mind the Juneteenth and that celebration of freedom, and more importantly, that the journey to freedom is ongoing. We're still on the path as individuals and as a nation, as different peoples within our world, working to a day that all people will really be able to live in equality and in freedom. Mi Chamocha, page 40.
Mi Chamocha, Bailim Adonai. Mi Chamocha, Nehedar Bakodesh, Nora Tehilot. O Seifele, Nora Tehilot. O Seifele. Malchutecha ra'u v'necha bokei ayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam zezei li anu ve'ameru Adonai imloch le'olam Adonai et Yaakov ugalo meyad chazak mimenu Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael.
Amen. Page 42 and 43, Hashkivenu, as we ask the Holy One to watch over us and to protect us, to let us lay down with a sense of wholeness and peace and rise up with a sense of purpose each and every day. Page 43 and 42.
number of places where you're invited to join me on this one. Here's one of them. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Try it with me. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. V'ha'amidenu, Shomreinu lechayim. Aleinu Sukkot Shalomecha Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Hashkivenu Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Give thanks for Shabbat, for the opportunity it gives us to just pause for a moment, to breathe, to connect to ourselves and to each other, to God. Join in singing Vishamru, page 44.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat laso et ha-Shabbat ledorot hamirit olam. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat laso et ha-Shabbat ledorot hamirit olam. Ve'ni u'en b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam, oti le'olam. Ve'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat laso et ha-Shabbat ledorot hamirit olam. Ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Ve'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat laso et ha-Shabbat ledorot hamirit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash. Ve'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat laso et ha-Shabbat ledorot hamirit olam.
going to continue on page 46 as we begin our Amidah. I'm going to invite you to rise and Noah to lead us. He's going to give you a key.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi techilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagivur v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Hasei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Gulam V'Nevnehem, Kaman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham,
Be'ezrat Sarah.
Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Michayecha Kol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatah, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Michayecha Kol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verovei Cholim, Matir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato Lishnei Afar, Micha Mocha Baal Gevurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayeh, Umatzmiya Yeshua, Neman Ata Lehayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayecha Kol.
Just step to the side for a second. Page 52. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please continue silently with the text of your own heart or the words of the prayer book through page 62, 63. When you're through, you may be seated.
Shabbat Shalom. The piece I'm going to play is not a Jewish piece. It was actually written for a musical, a Broadway musical, Carousel. It's a piece I played just a couple months ago here for another service. I forget what, if it was for a bar mitzvah or for just a regular Friday night. But I just always struggle to find a song that's appropriate for the particular theme of the service or the family. And I thought, wow, this is a piece that just really has is perfect for this. So let me read the words to you. Most of you will recognize it. The lyrics read, "When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high, and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of a storm, there's a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, for your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone." So the message of this piece obviously is turning to a higher power for consolation, for strength, for the adverse things that happen in life. And so this is "You'll Never Walk Alone" from Carousel by Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Thank you, Dr. Polovoy. We turn now in our books to page 253 as our thoughts turn to all of those in our lives who are in need of healing, healing of body, healing of spirit, healing of mind. We hold them in our thoughts as we join in the words of Misha Berach.
O Holy One, who blessed our mothers, bless our fathers from ancient days, bless and heal those in our hearts, and hear our prayer as we say their names. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem, V'Hachzikam U'Rapotam, V'Yishlach Lahem Refuah Shlema, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, B'toch Shahar Olei Yisrael. Oh, bless and heal those in our hearts, and hear our prayer as we say their names.
We ask for blessings upon Rebecca Gilman, Hannah Fields Austin, Sue Tobak, Rosin Lefkowitz, Helen Weinfeld, Pam Poliakoff, Connie Shapiro, Kathy Blumenfeld, Caitlin Antrim, Judith Bosworth, Kathy Brewster, Jennifer Rudin, Marion Snyders, Brad Holland, Meg Silton, Serena Postal, Bobby Kay, Marilyn Freeman, Robert Strober, Marilyn Lubarsky, Ellery Einstein, Patricia Kramer, Joan Morse, Nomi Kravitz, Craig Sachs, Simon Saul, Blair Pollock, Myra White, Lori Snyder, Jeremy Noller, Charity Razadeh, Mike Klein, Lily Morrison, Sarah Coachman, Richard Handley, Barbara Fass, Joel Beasy, Burton Gershman, Carol Berlant, Janet Barong, Paula Steinbach, David Bush, Howard Bush, Dana Sundin, Lawson Spicer, Mark Fenton, Gloria Foster, Rita Warshaw, Ira Quatcher, Robert Gerard, Ryan Safer, Stuart Mann, and
HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yimalei Rachamim Aleihem. Oh, bless and heal those in our hearts, and hear our prayer as we say their names.
Shabbat Shalom. This week's parashah describes the appointment of 70 elders to help judge the people. As God tells Moses, I will draw upon the spirit that is on you and put it on them, so that the elders will share the burden of the people with Moses. The elders are brought to the tent of meeting and instilled with the prophetic spirit. And then right after this, the Torah tells of two men now named Eldad and Medad, who did not go to the tent of meeting, but remained in the camp where they too began to prophesy. So the question is asked, who are Eldad and Medad, and what's their relationship to the 70 elders? How do the people's leaders respond to their prophesying? And what can their response teach us about the way which we impart and share our gifts with each other? In the Talmud, in a tractate called Sanhedrin, discusses this episode in the context of the establishment of courts of law. And the rabbis explain that when God told Moses to appoint 70 elders, Moses found himself faced with a problem. If he failed to choose the same number of elders from each tribe, this would cause problems between the tribes. Were he to choose 5 elders from each of the 12 tribes, he would be short 10 elders. Were he choose 6, math people, you're going to help me out, he would have 2 extras. Moses opted to select 6 from every tribe and then have a lottery to weed out 2. He brought 72 slips of paper and wrote elder on 70 of them, leaving 2 blank. Ultimately, though, the lottery proved unnecessary, according to the Talmud here, because 2 individuals remained in the camp and did not participate. And they were, the Talmud making a connection between these two verses, Eldad and Medad, who, as we have seen, were also gifted with prophecy nonetheless. The Talmud explains that Eldad and Medad recused themselves from the lottery because they didn't think of themselves as particularly worthy as being included among the elders. And on account of their humility, God rewarded them with an even greater prophetic gift. Unlike the 70 elders who prophesied but did not continue, according to the text, Eldad and Medad's prophecy was ongoing. And the Talmud adds that, at least according to one opinion, their prophecy foretold Moses' death and Joshua's succession. Perhaps that is why Joshua in the text becomes so disturbed in this episode. The Torah relates that a certain young man, upon hearing Eldad and Medad's prophecy, ran to report this development to Moses. And when Joshua heard this report, he spoke up anciently, "Oh, Moses, restrain them." But Moses just kind of patted Joshua on the head and explained, "Are you wrought up on my account? Would that all of the Eternal's people were prophets, and that the Eternal put God's Spirit upon them." Joshua, the young heir to Moses' leadership, is concerned about the usurping of Moses' prophetic role. But Moses, who never sought out the role, and in fact went to great lengths to avoid it, he hid his face from God at the burning bush, begged God to choose someone else, has a very different reaction. As he sees it, the more people God rests Spirit upon, the better. The Midrash on our parashah questions why Moses did not share Joshua's concern that Eldad and Medad, and in fact all the elders, might diminish or dilute Moses' prophetic gifts. After all, the Torah teaches, God drew upon the Spirit that was on Moses and rested it on the 70 elders. If these elders received some of Moses' prophetic spirit, surely that must mean that, well, his was diminished, right, a little. But the Midrash explains that this was not the case. To what may Moses be compared? To a lamp which was burning. Everyone lights from it, but its light is not diminished. Just as one lamp does not lose any of its brightness when another lamp is kindled, so Moses did not lose any of the divine spirit instilled within him. Rather than Moses growing dimmer, the world became more radiant. A similar story is told in another place in Midrash Shir HaShirim, that Akiva invokes this same metaphor to describe his experience of studying Torah. He is in fact responding to his own teacher, Rabbi Elazar, who has just declared that although he has learned so much Torah, it is only a fraction of all the Torah there is in the world. As Rabbi Elazar puts it, even if all the seas were ink, and all the reeds were pens, and all the heavens and earth were scrolls, and all of humanity were scribes, they would not suffice to write the Torah which I have learned. And yet I have diminished it no more from it than someone would by dipping a vial in the sea. Rabbi Akiva hears his teacher's metaphor and chooses to modify it somewhat. I have taken no more from Torah than one who smells an etrog. Someone who smells it enjoys it, but the etrog loses nothing. So there's a sense here. Many of us mistakenly think that if others can do what we do as well as we do it, they can sing or teach or perform or lead as well as we do, then somehow we don't shine as bright. But this portion reminds us that, it begins with Moses telling Aaron to light the 7 lamps. Let the 7 lamps give light. Moses, who shares these words with Aaron, knows very well about sharing his prophecy with others and allowing each to burn bright. Moses' words remind us that all our gifts come from God, and we should not be seeking to highlight or spotlight ourselves, but to use our talents to amplify and replenish the brightness of others and the luminous world around us. Shabbat Shalom.
So originally I had planned to say that the song that Randy and I are going to share with you now was motivated not necessarily by the Torah portion, but more by the calendar, by the fact that, as Rabbi mentioned earlier, it's Juneteenth coming up officially in just after this weekend, and it's Pride Month, and there are graduations going on, and there's a lot of ways in which we honor various segments of our community during the month of June. But I think the Rabbi's teaching on this week's Torah portion fits in perfectly with this song. It's called One People by Debbie Friedman, and it is in the form of a prayer for our country, but I think what it does beautifully is it emphasizes that though we are a diverse and a diverse country, a diverse community that has many strengths and particular customs and particular features, the uniqueness of each individual part only makes the whole stronger and more beautiful. So this is Debbie Friedman's One People, and I'll share briefly with you what your part is. I don't have it written down, but it's pretty easy. It goes like this. One people seeking freedom, one people seeking justice, one people seeking hope, one people seeking peace. You'll get that as we sing the song. God bless our country and all who lead us. May they be wise and just and fair. God guard our borders, keep us safe and strong. God keep our country in your loving care. We'll be one people seeking freedom, one people seeking justice, one people seeking hope, one people seeking peace. God bless our country. Let every race and creed unite in harmony and pride. We'll join together and we'll work hand in hand. We are one people standing side by side. We'll be one people seeking freedom, one people seeking justice, one people seeking hope, one people seeking peace. God bless our country and all of its people. May they be free from hate and war. Lay down your swords and shields. Nations will not fight again, and they will not learn war anymore. We'll be one people seeking freedom, one people seeking justice, one people seeking hope, one people seeking peace. Let's do that one more time. We'll be one people seeking freedom, one people seeking justice, one people seeking hope, one people seeking peace, one people, one people, we are one people.
I'd like to invite Candy Fisher to rejoin us up on the bima and share a few announcements with you.
And Shabbat Shalom. Lower this a little bit. On behalf of the board, thank you for being here, both in the sanctuary and online. Todah Rabbah to Rabbi Kupetz and Noah Heyman for leading our service in such an inspiring way this evening, and to Cantor Bush for leading us this evening in prayer and in music. To Dr. Randy Polavoy for his always beautiful music. And much appreciation to Claudia Gonzalez, who handles our technology so expertly, for her expert skills which allow our temple to reach online congregants and participants. So I'd like to thank many people who've participated in tonight's services. Thank you to our fellow congregants and to the family and friends of the Haymans for generously donating delicious items for tonight's oneg, and to our dedicated challah team. Thank you to tonight's greeters, Lauren Nemeth, Courtney Medina, Kylie Sykes, Phyllis Blackie, Judy Rose, Laura Zuckerman, and Sharon Sachs Regalado, and to people who keep us safe in our parking lot this evening, Josh Landis and Lori Boer. After the service, we'll gather in the social hall for kiddush, motzi, refreshments, and conversation. So please take this opportunity to walk up and introduce yourself to someone that you don't know. It's a wonderful way to continue to build our warm and personal Jewish community here. We have a busy and engaged community, so many things going on. Leadership is constantly fighting for dates on the calendar, so there's lots going on here. I'm just going to highlight a few things coming up just within the next couple of days. Congregants are invited to celebrate Noah Heyman's bar mitzvah tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. in the sanctuary. And on June 26th at 3 p.m., please be reminded that a memorial for our dear friend Deona Kaufman will be held in the sanctuary. And we need you and we want you at Temple Beth Israel, so please complete and return your pledge packets for this next year, 22-23. Shabbat Shalom.
So just one quick announcement. Some of you may have noticed on our Facebook page, I posted a link to a special concert that's taking place this Sunday morning. I believe it's at 7 a.m. Pacific time, but it's a worldwide concert connecting the Jewish community in support of Ukraine. And I urge you, if you have the opportunity, to check it out. Some wonderful musicians and wonderful participants from all over the world are involved, and I highly recommend it.
We move toward the conclusion of our service. I invite you to turn to page 282, middle of the page, for Aleinu L'Shabeach. Please rise.
Aleinu L'Shabeach Ladon HaKol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשינו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגאור עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. Page 287. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Page 294. Take a moment to remember those who have been important in our lives, left this earth, those who have died in recent days or at this time in years past. We remember the recent deaths of Jerry Title, past president of TBI, of Beatrice Caden, mother of Terry Helfand. Remember the Yortzites, the anniversaries of the deaths of Marvin Abrams, Fanny Friedman Rose, Reuben Ben Shlomo, Samuel Harris, Morris Kampf, Jim Morse, Larry Frank, Eva Gould, Joseph Green, Judy Heisen, Florence Rosen, Sandy DeSatnik, Lisa Hirschfelder, Hans Levy, Beatrice Silverstein, Ruth Thompson, Esther Abrams, Max Adjemi, Evelyn Benson, Norman Brenzel, Shoshi Galin, Harry Rose, Murray Sachs, Yaron Zamir, Alan Getty, Camille Audrey Mann, Bernice Salzberg, Gertrude Bergen, Stacy Davis, Corky Elhai, Eric Fishbein, Angelina Flowers, Frank Height, David Cantor, Paula Klein, Olivia Loyola, Frank Rosenbaum, Henry Schimmel, Chris Silverman, Raymond Feig, Esther Morrison, Mabel Shapiro, and Mindy Strober. If you're remembering somebody on the Shabbat would like to add their names to those listed or restate a name I've listed, please feel free to do so as I come by your row. If you're in a time of mourning or observing a Yortzeit on the Shabbat, I invite you to please rise. Invite the rest of the congregation, if it's your custom, to rise and embrace and support of those who mourn. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Bialma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon v'yomachon uv'chayei decho Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dukudasha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata da'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bin romav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be for a blessing. And we'll close with Biado, bottom of 321.
Ado af kidruchi, nishan le'ayira, ve'imruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira, ve'imruchi geviati, Adonai li velo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand.
My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. My spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Draw me near, I shall not fear.
Adonai li velo ira.
Draw me near. Draw me near, I shall not fear.
Adonai li velo ira. My soul I give to you, my spirit in your care. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Hold me in your hand. Draw me near, I shall not fear. Safely in your hand.
Please join us in the social hall for Kiddush Motzi and refreshments. For those of you online, thank you so much for being with us. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.